Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. This is your Manchester United versus Wolves preview. It's the last preview before Christmas and we've got a few questions for you on this one. This time last year we were just reacting to Ineos on Christmas Eve, 2023 taking over Manchester United. Who would have predicted a year later we'd be firmly in the bottom half of the table? We would have sacked our manager. There'd be talk of no money and players, big players, sort of holding the club to ransom. Where will we be in Christmas Eve 2025? Get your comments in. I've got my prediction. I'll give that in a moment. Also, we'll talk. I don't want to overload you. Get thinking about that. Let's talk about the game against Wolves, though. Wolves, obviously, bottom three. A win for them could take them out of the bottom three. They beat Leicester at the weekend. Manchester United, 13th place. A win for us might not even take us into the top half of the table. That's how embarrassing this is. Fulham and Brighton, both on 25 points, 9th and 10th respectively. So look, even a win might not be enough for Manchester United to get into that top 10 position. But we are playing a team in the bottom half of the table. And I think that is something that we really need to be looking at here. We should be winning this game of football. I watched Wolves play Leicester. Well, I saw the highlights of it at the weekend, and all three of their goals were defensive errors. We've lost to Bournemouth, we've lost to Forest in recent weeks, and that is because we have ultimately not been good enough at the back. We have to defend better, and that's why, for me, I would go with this lineup. Let me just knock that one off for you. I think some would say it's a bit harsh on Harry Maguire, and we'll talk about Harry Maguire in a moment, but we've got to win this game. De Ligt, for me, is our most important defensive player at the moment. I think without him, we really see the value of him, and we were already seeing the value of him before because he was so consistent, and these last two games we've conceded 7 goals. So De Ligt has to come back into the team for me. Martinez is obviously our only left-sided player, and if we want to play out from the back, you need to keep that. And Mazraoui needs to come into the back three or go to the bench because I cannot deal with 2 fullbacks playing in the wide positions in an Amorim system anymore. I want Ahmad back on the right-hand side. He's the only winger we've got who can do it, and he provides an attacking threat, and it allows us to play another number 10 who also has an attacking threat. So for me, Ahmad's got to go back out wide to give us some attacking impetus down the wing. But that would mean Dalot on the left or maybe Mazraoui. But I mean, the only place I would put Maguire would probably be in Martinez's position. You can have that conversation if you want, but I think that that's the way I would set up our back five because it's so important that we play with a wide player in the wide position and not go with 2 fullbacks. It's not been working out. We didn't score against Bournemouth. In relation to home and away record, very, very quickly, our away record, we are 13th in the league for... I mean, the interesting thing about Man United home and away is we're very consistent. We're 13th in the league for our home form and we're 13th in the league for our away form, which is obviously very consistent. And people would say, well, of course we are. Well, no, that's not the case. Brentford is still top of the league for their home form. They've got 22 points from 9 games, and Liverpool are second with 19 points. So it doesn't necessarily stand to reason that you're going to be, the same home and away. But Man United, very consistent, 13th home and 13th away. What about Wolves? Well, as you'd expect, a bit of a shit season for them. They are currently 18th, joint bottom, actually, for their home record with Southampton and Ipswich. They've only won 1 out of 8. Drawn 1, lost 6. Absolutely shit record, and it's one that we need to be looking at. They've conceded 20 goals in the Premier League at home this season. Only Southampton have conceded more. So they concede goals, and we need to win this game. We need to win this game. Into the midfield, I think I would go Mainu and Agate. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's the best we have. This is why we need to be buying players in this position. I don't want to see Bruno playing in the pivot. It might work against the team against Wolves, but it will come unstuck. And it's interesting, actually. I wanted to pose this question to you. There was a lot of question about Ten Hag last season and how our midfield was so open, the gap between the defensive line and the attack, the amount of chances we were conceding. We were playing with 1 holding player. I mean, there is a weakness to this Manchester United side as well. We are playing with 3 centre-backs. We are playing with a double pivot behind a striker, and then we're playing a double pivot midfield. We're still getting overrun in the midfield, even though the numbers are there. It's not as spaciously vulnerable as Ten Hag's team were, but it's also, even though there's a lot of protection for that midfield too, it's not good enough. And I think that that's why I'd go with the best that we have, Mainu and Agate. Some people have said Collier. I'm intrigued to see how Amorim uses Collier. I really do like Collier, and I think Has Amorim not picked him because he's not been fit? Potentially. He was back on the bench at the weekend. Is he a player that we will see used over the Christmas period? I think we might do, and that might be a solution in the short term to get some legs into that midfield. He was looking very good at the start of the season. My double pivot behind the striker, and the striker has to be Rasmus. Regardless of what you think about him, he's the best striker we have at the moment. And yes, we need another striker. We need options up front, but it can't be Xerxes in a game like this. He can't deal with it at home in the safety of Old Trafford. I don't want Xerxes up front in a game like this. It's just not. It's not going to work. At least Rasmus will put a shift in and battle the centre backs and hopefully get some opportunities, because it's still a graveyard shift. And I said that against Bournemouth. Xerxes got a lot of criticism. Obviously, he was at fault for the first goal. But again, you're playing up front for Man United. Where is the service? It's just not there. Behind Rasmus, I'd go Garnacho and Bruno. Obviously, Ahmad can play anywhere he wants in this team. If Amorim wants to put him in next to Bruno, that's absolutely fine. I would like Ahmad on the wing, and not to accommodate Garnacho. I just want Ahmad on the wing because I want some attack from the wing, which means there's a space behind Højlund, and that to me would be Garnacho, because it's not going to be Rashford and it shouldn't be Anthony, and Mount's injured. So maybe Xerxes, but I think it might be worthwhile giving a Garnacho a start in this game with Bruno in behind. And I don't think that's a bad side. I actually think if he can get that side out, we will win. And people will be laughing going, you've got no chance. But I think when you scrape the layer of Manchester United away, we have conceded silly goals against Spurs in the Carabao Cup. We conceded silly goals against Forest at home. And we conceded silly goals against Bournemouth at home. Against Man City, we defended very, very well. And we won the game. So I think that everybody talks about Rashford and Xerxes and Rasmus and Bruno and Garnacho. And actually, our biggest problem in recent weeks has been defending. And goalkeeping errors as well. That's part of the defence. So the most fundamental, important thing when you go away from home is that you defend well. And we did it very well at the Etihad a couple of weeks ago. And we need to do it against Wolves at the weekend on Thursday, on Boxing Day, because if we don't, then we probably will lose. It did for Leicester and Rude. They defended badly. They were 3-0 down at half-time, and he sorted it out at half-time, but it was too late to get back in the game against Wolves for Leicester. So Manchester United, we defend better, we win the game. We will be better with De Ligt back in the team. 100%. And I think we will be better if we put Ahmad on the right-hand side. So I think that's going to be the differential for this game. And I'm going to go with United winning this 2-0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet and I think we will win it 2-0. But it will be difficult. And they're good in the midfield, Wolves. And that's why we need to be combative. We've got two very difficult Premier League games to end the season. I wish it was the end of the season. To end the year off. We've got three, actually. Wolves away, Newcastle at home, Liverpool away. God. We could lose all three of those, We can't lose all three of those, but we could lose all three of those. So I want to see a good performance from Manchester United in this game. I think we will see it. Now, I've already asked you where you think we'll be in a year's time. Do get your predicted lineups in as well. I find them very interesting just to see how many agree with my prediction, but also, permutations. It's a little bit harsh on Maguire not being in the team, but I don't think he played amazingly well against Bournemouth. And I do think that Martinez, De Ligt and Mazraoui are currently our best three back players, because the great thing about playing Mazraoui in a back three is he's also quite offensive as well, and it allows Ahmad on the wing, as I've said before. So that's why I would do that. There was another thing I wanted to ask you, actually. If Bruno Fernandes got injured or got sold, who would you make the captain of Manchester United and why? Let me know in the live chat, let me know in the comments, because this is thin ice, actually, this question, because Bruno is a bit divisive. Not to me. I think we miss him massively when he's not on the pitch, and that says that's a testament to how bad we are, that we're 13th in the league, and when Bruno's not on the pitch, we're actually worse. But if Bruno wasn't available, who would be your captain for the long-term future? Now, this sort of feeds into Maguire, because some people would say, well, it should be Maguire. That didn't work. It amazes me. It's like friends on Facebook who message me and say, oh, I've hooked up with such and such from school. I'm thinking about leaving my wife. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? You shouldn't be going back. You're making mistakes because of, you're ignoring the bad things for the, little good things. We shouldn't be giving Maguire the captaincy. He's been a better player without it. He was a bad player with it. That's the end of the sentence. Why do you think Maguire's been decent for the last 18 months. He's not been the captain. It's as simple as that. Like, he's actually been decent when he's been fit over the last 18 months, not the captain. As the captain, he struggled. Why? Because it was a heavy load and you take your eye off your own game. So I wouldn't be giving it to Maguire. I think actually De Ligt. I think De Ligt might be the one that could do it. Very, very early, though. We made that mistake with Maguire. But beyond that, my point is, Garnacho's 19. Sorry, Garnacho's 20. Rasmus is 21. Mainu is 19. Agate's only just come into the football club. He can't do it. Ahmad's very young. Delo, not consistent enough on the pitch at the moment. Martinez, again, I think he needs to focus on his own game. Mazraoui only just come in. Not too sure he's a captain. I don't know. Anana, probably not the right guy to lead the team at the moment. De Ligt. Be De Ligt for me. But let me know in the comments what you think about that. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about as well. I know I'm asking you a lot here. You're thinking it's Christmas. I'm eating McQuality Street or my celebrations. I saw an article in the Manchester Evening News today. It wasn't from Pratt, you know who I'm talking about. It was from a different journalist. And they were basically saying that 6 players' contracts are expiring at the end of the season, but 2 of them deserve new ones. The 6 players are Ahmad. Spoiler alert, he deserves a contract and will get one. Victor Lindelof, Christian Eriksen, Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans, and Tom Heaton. So that's your 6. Now, Heaton, Evans, obviously I think they go. Experience, but there's just no need to keep them. Ahmad, you give him a contract. I agree with that. What would you do with Maguire, Lindelof, and Eriksen? Now, for me, Lindelof, Eriksen, no. 120k a week rumoured for Lindelof. Always injured. Hasn't started a Premier League game since March, apparently. Gotta go. Nice little bit, 120k. Nice, $500,000 back a month in wages. Christian Eriksen, 150k a week. Doesn't play enough, legs are gone. Again, another 600k a month back in wages. Harry Maguire. Now, according to this journalist in the Manchester Evening News, he deserves a new contract because he's enjoyed a strong 2024 despite picking up a few different injuries. Nevertheless, he's played through the pain barrier in certain games and he's continued to be in good form when he's been available this campaign. So they're saying that Harry Maguire deserves a new contract. For me, he's got the option of a year. I wouldn't be giving him a new contract. Absolutely not. But I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I absolutely would not give him a new contract. He's had 6 years out of United, that contract, on 190k a week. Have we had value for money out of that? No. So if he wants a new contract at Man United, give us some of that money back. You can have 2 years on 120k a week. If you don't want to sign that, go. We should not be extending a contract on 190k a week for what we've got from the last 6 years. Absolutely not. Harry Maguire's been decent for us in the last 12 months, but he's not been 190k a week decent. And if we don't start getting ruthless, we're playing pantomime football again. He is not 190k a week centre-back. He's done a decent job for us as a backup centre-back. And he may well be a decent-ish option in an Amorim system. But it's this sentimental claptrap that puts us in trouble, where in a year's time you're going, well, we need to get rid of the deadwood again. Maguire has had 4 separate injuries in 2024. The first one, it was 40 days. The second one, it was 55 days. The third one, it was a knock, to be fair. And the fourth one, it was nearly a month as well. So he's had 4 significant injuries in 2024. He is 32 in 3 months. And people want to extend his contract and give him another 2 or 3 years. It's absolutely no. Not on 190k a week. It's absolutely no. If you want to extend it for a year because he's a good player to have around, that's absolutely fine. We've done that with Johnny Evans, but this should be a rolling contract. And let's see if he wants to sign it then. Johnny Evans has been doing a year. Let's do that for Maguire. A year. The injury record is a concern. 4 injuries in the last 12 months. The wage, 190k a week, is a concern. And he's 32, age, in 3 months. This is not a guy you give an extension to. This is a guy you give a rolling year contract to. That's my opinion. But would you keep any of the others? For me, it's just Ahmad. He's the only one who should be getting the contract, and that's the one that we will be handing out because I think he's worth it. I think he deserves it. But obviously, I think everyone's going to agree with that. It's Slow Sports News. So yeah, I think we'll beat Wolves. And I think that, look, just to sort of have my last observation on this, there's going to be a lot of comments on this because I've asked you 2 or 3 questions, but my final question to you is this. Where will we be in Christmas Eve next year? What players out of those would you keep that I just mentioned? Who would be your captain if Bruno wasn't available for the long term? And finally, where will we be at the end of the season? Where will we be at the end of the season? I think we're going to win the Europa League. I have to retain a positive, and a positive is Ruben Amorim. So I'm going to say Europa League. It's not as difficult as you think it is. When I look at that Europa League table, and there ain't no way I'm getting that up. That's what she said. There's no way I'm going to be able to get that up. But when I look at that Europa League table, the top 5 at the moment are Lazio, Athletic Club, Anderlecht, Lyon, and Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, they're all capable of beating Man United at the moment. There's some decent teams there. But us and Tottenham, Sociedad, Galatasaray, Rangers, Ajax, they're not Roma. They're not teams that Man United should fear if we can sort our act out. And I think we're capable of doing it. So I'm going to say Europa League winners. The league, I actually think the league might become even less relevant to us if we do well in the Europa League, because I think after Wolves, Newcastle and Liverpool, our next 3 Premier League games, we might be terminally bottom half of the league. And what I mean by that is, like, we're really not going to get out the bottom half of the league. So I think when you hit more important Europa League games in March and April, fingers crossed, and you're playing Thursday, Sunday, it surely gets to the point, because we haven't got the squad. We haven't got the squad to play Thursday, Sunday. This is why we're dropping points at the moment. It will surely get to the point where Amorim's going, my best team is playing on Thursday, I'll rotate in the Premier League. And I think I see that scenario coming. So my prediction is we're going to win the Europa League, but we'll finish about 9th in the Premier League, which is mad, really, because 9th in the Premier League is shit. But the Europa League can be our saviour. But ultimately, we shouldn't... The reason I mention that is because obviously this time of the year is a time for reflection, and there's a lot to reflect. And I feel I could keep asking you questions. I'll save some more for New Year's Eve. But the point I was going to make is that it's not really about where we finished this season, the same as with Rangnick. It wasn't really about judging Rangnick on results. It was about what Rangnick was finding and saying about open heart surgery. And the idiots around our media didn't understand that Ralf Rangnick was speaking the most clarity. They ridiculed him. Well, Amorim's doing it again. And it's not really about where we're going to finish in the league. It's about the progress we make between now and the end of the season. And progress can be getting rid of bad apples. Progress can be playing better football. Progress can be bringing some players in. Progress can be winning the Europa League and finishing in the bottom half of the table. As long as we're making progress, I think that is the most important thing. And we mustn't forget that even if you are struggling to see progress in this horrible first few weeks under Amorim, there is progress. Because there are big things happening off the pitch that people were scared to do before. Decisions are being made. And on the pitch, we have been to Man City, we have been to the Emirates and had really good possession. So we are gradually changing. In recent weeks, the annoying thing is, we went to Arsenal, played very well in the first half and got beat on set pieces. We played Forest at home and got beat on mistakes. We played Man City at the Etihad, had good possession and won the game deservedly. And then we played Bournemouth at home and get beat on mistakes again. And mistakes not just at the back. Mistakes, I mean, Bruno could have had a hat-trick in 10 minutes. So mistakes are costing us at the moment, but there is an underlying positive around how we're playing, I believe, with players that ultimately, a lot of them aren't good enough. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you have a fantastic Christmas. And make sure you're tuning in tomorrow at 9 o'clock for our annual Christmas present, early morning, from Santa Bridge and the crew. It's our 2024 best moments of the year. Check that out tomorrow morning. Absolute legend. Merry Christmas. Get your comments in. Make sure you answer all those questions I've given you as well. Who would you replace Bruno with as long-term captain if you had to from the team and players that we have? Where will we be at Christmas Eve 2025? Where will we be at the end of the season? League position, will we win a trophy? And out of those 6 players, Eriksen, Ahmad, Maguire, Lindelof, Heaton and Evans, which ones would you pick? And also you can whack in your predicted 11. Take care everyone. Merry Christmas. Speak to you soon.